Okay, so starting out on your back, knees bent, feet hip-width apart, and just settling into the rhythm of the breath here, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through either the mouth or the nose. And for this menstrual practice, we'll be doing lots of pelvic rotations and hip rocking to help relieve any tension from the low belly, the low back, the pelvis, any discomfort that you might be experiencing. So just beginning to circle the pelvis around here, tuning into the sensations that you feel within the body. And just allowing this to be an embodied practice. This is all about feeling in, paying attention to what's going on in the body, specifically the pelvis and the womb space. Just noticing those little variations that you might feel in the pelvis, in the lower back, the inner, the outer thighs, and the buttocks, just being aware. Inhaling as the hips circle upward and exhaling as the hips circle downward. Nice fluid movements, nice fluid breath. And then changing directions and circling the pelvis the other way. And you may notice that one side feels more coordinated than the other, and that's perfectly fine. Being aware of any variations between each direction. Inhaling all the way up to the top of the inhales. And exhaling all the way down to the bottom of the exhales. Nice full breaths here. And then coming back to the center, just kind of wiggling the hips from side to side here. And we'll come into some pelvic rocks or pelvic tilts. So as you inhale, think of drawing your tailbone down into the mat, and the back gently arches here. And as you exhale, think of tipping your tailbone up towards the ceiling, but keep your sits bones connected to the mat. So you're not lifting the buttocks up here, you're just tipping the tailbone up to the ceiling. And then inhaling and tipping the tailbone down into the floor. The sacrum is lifting here. And then exhaling, tipping the tailbone up. So the sacrum is now heavy on the mat, but the sits bones are still connected to the earth. Moving with your own breath at your own pace. And just being aware of what's happening in the pelvis as you tip the tailbone backward and forward here. Softening on the inhales and relaxing into the exhales. And just coming back into a neutral pelvis. And just noticing how it feels now. Does the pelvis feel heavy? Does it feel a little bit lighter? Taking another breath here. And then separating the feet so that they're as wide as the mat. And then just dropping the knees over to one side of the mat. And inhaling back to the center and then exhaling over to the opposite side. Being aware of what you feel in the tops of the thighs, the inner thighs, the outer thighs here. One more time on each side. And then once you come back onto the right side, take the right foot and place it over top the left thigh, just for a little bit of leverage here. Keep that right foot a little flexed. I'm just feeling that release in the left outer hip flexor. So as the quad, or maybe you feel it someplace completely different, and that's totally fine. It just depends on where you're holding on to tension and tightness. And then slowly releasing that, uncrossing the right leg, shifting the legs over to the left, and then taking that left ankle, crossing it over the right thigh, keeping the left foot flexed here. And breathing deeply, inhaling all the way up to the crown of the head, and exhaling all the way down to the womb. Just imagining that each breath is moving down into the space of the womb. Just assisting in that release, that energetic release that's happening in the womb space. Releasing the left foot, bringing the legs back to the center. You can walk the feet slowly together and then just drop your knees to one side. Rolling onto your side, taking 3 breaths here. And we're just gently preparing the spine for rest. And then slowly rolling yourself onto your front here. And we're coming into a nice little inner thigh release. And so taking the left leg, so you want to make sure that the pelvis is nice and settled on the mat. So think of the 2 hip points and then your pubic bone as being 3 points making a downward facing triangle. And then you want for those 3 points to stay connected to the mat as much as possible. And now taking the left leg and just sliding the left leg up so that there's a little bit of a release in that left inner thigh here. And you can either turn the toes in towards the thigh or you can make a 90-degree angle. I find that with my toes pointing in a little bit towards my right leg is a little bit more comfortable. And then from here, just beginning to circle the hips around. So we're just getting the blood circulating through the pelvic floor, loosening up the joints of the pelvis, or not loosening up the joints, but just releasing any tension from those joints, the sacroiliac joints maybe. And then changing directions and circling the hips the other way. Even inhales and exhales here. And then coming back to the center, tipping the tailbone up to the ceiling, and then tipping the tailbone down towards the mat.
And tipping the tailbone up to the ceiling and tipping the tailbone down. Just being aware of what's happening in that left inner thigh and the sacroiliac joints, those two joints at the top back portion of the pelvis. And then we're going to take this just a little bit further as you release and come back to neutral. And just see if you notice a difference in that left inner thigh. And you can continue to hold it here, or you can bend the left leg so it's more at a 90-degree angle, releasing the left groin. If you're feeling like you'd like to take that further, then you can extend the left leg out with the ankle flex, so the toes are pointing up towards the top of the mat here. And then again, you're just relaxing and releasing that left hip point back down towards the mat. 3 breaths. And you can choose to stay here a little bit longer if you like, if it's feeling really good. Or you can start to re-bend that left leg, bringing it in slowly and changing to the other side. So drawing those 3 hip points back down to the mat. Just notice the difference between the left half of the body and the right half of the body. Can you feel a difference between the left half of your pelvis versus the right half? Maybe the left side feels a little lighter, a little longer. And now drawing the left knee up, you can either take that 90-degree angle with the knee, or you can point the toes in towards the foot and start to make your circles here. And just releasing the muscles that support the pelvis and the lower back. The femurs as well. So these circles can be any pace, any size. And they can be big or small, fast or slow. You decide what feels right for you. And then change directions and move the other way. And settling back to the center, tipping the tailbone up to the ceiling and tipping the tailbone down to the mat. And tipping the tailbone up as you inhale and tipping the tailbone down to the mat as you exhale. And just leading the movement with your pelvis. A few more here. And then coming back into neutral and seeing if you notice a difference in that right inner thigh. And then you can either take that right leg at 90 degrees, or you can extend the leg out to the side so that that right leg is straight, the right foot is flexed, trying to release that right hip point back down to the earth, just noticing what you feel in the groin. 5 breaths. One more breath here. And again, you can choose to stay here longer if it's feeling really good. Or you can start to bend that right knee and bringing the right leg back down here. And connecting those 3 hip points, and again, just reassessing the right half of the pelvis and the left half of the pelvis. Does it feel a tad bit more even now? And does the right side feel as long as the left? And does your pelvis feel a little bit lighter on the mat? And now beginning to circle the pelvis again here. And taking the hips as far to the left, as far up, as far to the right. And taking the pubic bone down towards the mat here. Nice slow circles. Inhaling as the pelvis lifts up off of the floor. And exhaling as the pelvis comes closer to the floor here. One more rotation around. And then change directions and rotate the other way. One more in this direction. And releasing. Pressing yourself up onto all fours, hands and knees. You can put a blanket underneath of your knees if you need to for pelvic rocks here. So your tailbone is drawing down and in between your feet. Your spine is long. Draw the shoulders down the back. And then from here, leading with your pelvis, think of tipping, or not tipping, but drawing your tailbone in between your knees. And then inhale, tip the tailbone up to the ceiling. Keep the shoulders gliding down the back. Exhale, tip your tailbone down in between your knees. And then inhale, take the tailbone up to the ceiling. So it's not cat-cow, we're just tipping the tailbone back and forth. Just releasing those joints of the pelvis. Spreading the pelvic floor here. So tipping the tailbone down on the exhales. And then think of spreading your two sits bones as far apart as you can. You're really stretching that pelvic floor, tipping the tailbone up. And then as you exhale, think of drawing your two sits bones together. So we're creating lots of space on the inhale, tailbone up. And then exhale, just releasing some of that space. 2 more times. And last time. Coming back to a neutral spine here. And just intuitively moving. What feels right here? How does your pelvis and your spine and your neck wish to move? Just paying attention, being aware of what feels right for you. Breathing and moving. Listening to your body. Embodying this practice. What does your womb space need? How do you need to breathe? How do you need to move? How are you connecting with your womb space here? With that flow of menstruation. Really tuning into the breath, tuning into the rhythm of the body. Being fully aware. Deep, even inhales and exhales, breathing down into your womb.
And whenever you feel ready, just sitting the hips back to the heels, taking one hand over the abdomen, one hand over the heart, dipping the chin to the chest, lengthening through the back of the neck. And with each in-breath, it's feeling a sense of lightness in the womb space. A sense of lightness in the heart. And as you exhale, just sending a little love down to your womb. Sending her little love notes. You can stay here as long as you like, or you can begin to prepare your queen's chair. Taking your 2 blocks, the 1 block goes on the highest setting, or if you have another blanket, you can just lie a bolster. You can lie some pillows this way and then take a longer pillow and set it across here. If you'd like to put a bolster or some pillows underneath of your knees, you can, if that feels or sounds like it might be more comfortable for you. So your options would be to put a bolster under the knees, or you can just keep the knees bent here. And you can bring the soles of the feet together and let the legs fall out to the side, let the knees fall out. You can put blocks underneath of the knees if this is too much. You can put a pillow or a blanket underneath of your head. And I have another whole YouTube video about how to set up queen's chair. So if you haven't watched that, you can always watch it before starting. Just allowing yourself to be here, to be with the breath, settling into your heart center, breathing down into the space of the womb, making sure that the pelvis, the low back feels supported, that the neck feels supported. And wherever you'd like to place your hands, they can be on the mat. You can place the hands in yoni mudra, thumbs touching, index fingers touching, over the space of the womb. You can have one hand on the heart or one hand on the belly. If you're feeling like you need to be a little bit more rooted or grounded, you can bring the thumb to the index finger. Or if you'd like to really tune in to that flow and fluidity of menstruation, then you can bring the thumb to the pinkies. Wherever you feel most comfortable, just allowing yourself to settle in, giving yourself permission to rest, to just be with the breath, be with the body. Softening on the inhales and allowing your body to relax and melt down into the support of the bolsters, the pillows, the blankets. Letting go of any tension, softening through the hip creases, releasing the inner and the outer thighs, the tops of the thighs, the backs of the thighs, letting the pelvis rest heavily on the mat. Shoulders are relaxed, releasing the throat and the neck. Letting the tongue release from the top of the mouth and gently falling to the bottom of the mouth. Soften the muscles of the face, the lips, the eyelids, the brows. arrive into stillness. There is nowhere to go, there is nothing to be done but to be here right now in this present moment. And the moment of now, embodying this flow of menstruation, experiencing yoga. More conscious breaths. Taking one more deep breath in and out, allowing the abdomen, the ribs, and the lungs to expand and bulge up, lifting the heart, and exhaling deeply, allowing the navel to draw up underneath the ribs and up towards the heart. One more breath. You can always choose to stay here for as long as it's comfortable for you. There is absolutely no rush. But if you are feeling like you're ready to come out, just wiggling the fingers and the toes, circling the wrists and the ankles, and just gently turning the head from side to side. And if you have the legs in Baddha Konasana with the knees separated, taking the hands to the outsides of the thighs, gently drawing the legs together, bringing the soles of the feet to the floor, and just rocking the knees very gently from side to side. And coming back to the center, you can either turn yourself sideways on your bolster, so just shifting onto one hip, and lying on your side on the bolster, or you can lay flat on the mat. 2 breaths. And using your arms for support and keeping the eyes softly closed, pressing yourself up to a comfortable seated position, whether that's cross-legged in Siddhasana or Sukhasana, or sitting in Virasana. And bringing the palms together in front of the heart. Taking a nice breath in. And exhaling, turning the hands into downward facing yoni mudra, thumbs and index fingers touching, upward or downward facing triangle, sliding the hands down over the womb space, holding the hands there, thumbs at the belly button, index fingers near the pubic bone. Breathing down into the womb. Directing that breath. Allowing the abdomen to soften into the hands. So if you have a tendency of drawing the navel to your spine or sucking your belly in, just allowing your abdomen to relax on the inhales, creating space for the womb to continue to expand. And 3 more breaths. And then on the next in-breath, bringing the palms back together at the heart. Palms touching, thumbs gently grazing over the breastbone, just dipping the chin to the chest, lengthening through the back of the neck. And giving gratitude, blessings, and thanks for your amazing body. And for this practice, and for this day, and for this life. Rubbing the palms together, building some warmth and some heat, re-grounding, re-centering, and just taking the palms and gently pressing them over the eyes, feeling that warmth soak into the face. Allowing the hands to swoop down over the face, over the neck, with the hands landing at the heart center, feeling the warmth of the hands over the heart. And just taking a breath in and being grateful for this time for self-care and self-love, self-healing, self-empowerment, liberation. And then exhaling and sliding the hands down over the space of the womb. And just cupping the belly and the hands. And taking a breath in and a breath out. Softening. Allowing your womb space to fill the hands. And then bringing the palms back up to the heart in Anjali Mudra. This practice of menstrual yoga is complete. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you for joining me. And I wish you a wonderful day.